Imagine a place called Bessie's Diner. It wasn't fancy. The paint was peeling a little and the chairs didn't always match, but it had a warmth that made everyone feel welcome. It sat right in the heart of a neighborhood that had seen better days. Many businesses had closed, leaving empty storefronts and a feeling of sadness in the air. But Bessie's Diner was different. Bessie's Diner was more than just a place to get a burger and fries, it was a community hub. People came to share stories, celebrate good news, and find comfort when times were tough. The smell of Bessie's famous apple pie filled the air, a sweet reminder of home. The clatter of plates and the murmur of conversations created a comforting symphony. Bessie's Diner was a beacon of hope, a place where everyone knew they could find a friendly face and a good meal. And at the heart of Bessie's Diner was, of course, Bessie herself. She was a tall woman with a smile that could light up a room and eyes that saw straight through to your soul. Her hair was always neatly styled and she usually wore a bright-colored dress, even when she was just cooking in the kitchen. Bessie wasn't just the owner, she was the mother, the counselor, and the friend to everyone who walked through her door. She had a way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the world. Bessie knew everyone's name, their favorite meal, and usually what was going on in their lives. She'd offer a listening ear, a word of advice, or just a comforting hug when needed. People often said that Bessie's cooking tasted so good because she put a little bit of her heart and soul into every dish. She was the glue that held the diner and the community together. Bessie wasn't just kind, she was strong. She'd been running the diner by herself since her husband, Samuel, passed away 5 years ago. It hadn't been easy. There were times when she barely made enough money to pay the bills, but she never gave up. Samuel had always believed in her, and she was determined to keep his dream alive. She had a no-nonsense attitude that everyone respected. She wouldn't put up with any foolishness or disrespect in her diner. She'd seen it all, arguments, petty theft, even the occasional drunken brawl. But Bessie always knew how to handle things. A firm voice, a stern look, and a whole lot of common sense were usually enough to set things right. People knew that Bessie was fair, but she wasn't afraid to stand up for what she believed in, and that made her a force to be reckoned with. One afternoon, the bell above the diner door jingled, announcing a new customer. A man walked in, and he wasn't just any man. He was big, with a long, gray beard and a leather jacket that screamed Hell's Angel. His name was Joe, but everyone called him Big Joe. He looked tired, his eyes red-rimmed, and his shoulders slumped. He wasn't smiling, but he didn't look mean, just weary. Big Joe quietly took a seat at the counter, away from the other customers. He placed his helmet beside him and ran a hand through his tangled beard. He wasn't causing any trouble, he just looked like he needed a hot meal and a moment's peace. He scanned the menu, his gaze lingering on the daily special, Bessie's famous meat loaf with mashed potatoes and gravy. It was clear he was hungry and simply looking for a quiet place to rest. Just as Bessie was about to take Big Joe's order, a group of young men swaggered into the diner. They were regulars, but not the kind Bessie liked. They were always looking for trouble, and today seemed no different. They spotted Big Joe sitting at the counter and started whispering amongst themselves, their eyes filled with malice. "Look what the cat dragged in," one of them sneered, loud enough for everyone to hear. They approached the counter, surrounding Big Joe. "What's a biker like you doing in a place like this?" another one taunted, bumping into Big Joe's chair. Their words quickly escalated, filled with racist slurs and threats. They were trying to provoke him, itching for a fight, and making the other customers very uncomfortable. The atmosphere in the diner turned thick with tension. Bessie had seen enough. She slammed a dish towel onto the counter, the sound cutting through the tension like a knife. "That's enough," she boomed, her voice filled with a quiet authority that demanded respect. All eyes turned to her. "I won't have that kind of behavior in my diner," she said, her gaze fixed on the troublemakers. "You boys know the rules. Now you can either apologize and behave yourselves or you can get out." She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. "He was here first and he hasn't done anything to deserve your disrespect. Now, are you going to leave him alone, or do I need to call the police?" Bessie stood tall, a formidable figure, defending Big Joe from their hateful actions. The troublemakers, clearly surprised by Bessie's unwavering courage and the unexpected force of her defense, hesitated. They hadn't expected her to stand up to them like that. After a moment of awkward silence, they mumbled a half-hearted apology, more to Bessie than to Big Joe. Then, with a final glare at Big Joe, they turned and shuffled out of the diner, muttering threats under their breath about getting even later. The tension in the room slowly began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of relief. The other customers, who had been watching the scene unfold with bated breath, let out quiet sighs. Bessie had once again proven that her diner was a place where everyone deserved to be treated with respect. Big Joe looked up at Bessie, his eyes filled with genuine gratitude. "Thank you," he said, his voice raspy but sincere. "I appreciate you standing up for me like that." Bessie simply nodded. "Everyone deserves to be treated with respect, Joe. Now, what can I get for you? That meatloaf still looks good." They shared a brief conversation, mostly small talk, but there was an unspoken connection between them. Joe ate his meatloaf in comfortable silence, savoring every bite. Before leaving, he turned to Bessie again. "You're a good woman, Bessie," he said. "Thank you again." He left a generous tip on the counter, a silent gesture of his appreciation, and quietly walked out of the diner, disappearing into the afternoon sun. The next morning dawned bright and clear. Bessie arrived at the diner early, as usual, ready to start the day. She unlocked the door, flipped the open sign, and started brewing a fresh pot of coffee. Everything seemed normal, but a subtle unease lingered in the air. She couldn't shake the memory of the troublemaker's muttered threats from the day before. She tried to brush it off, telling herself they were just empty words, but a knot of nervousness tightened in her stomach. She glanced out the window, half expecting to see them lurking nearby. The street was quiet, but Bessie couldn't help but feel a sense of apprehension, a premonition that today wouldn't be just another ordinary day at Bessie's diner. As Bessie wiped down the counter, she heard it, a low rumble in the distance. At first, she thought it was just a truck, but the sound grew louder, deeper, more insistent. It was a sound that vibrated through the floorboards and rattled the windows. She paused, her hands still gripping the dish towel, and listened intently. The rumble was getting closer, and she realized with a growing sense of unease that it wasn't just one vehicle, but many. It was the unmistakable sound of motorcycles, a whole pack of them, and they were heading straight for Bessie's diner. The sound filled the air, drowning out everything else, a powerful and ominous roar that sent a shiver down her spine. The roar reached a deafening crescendo as the first motorcycles appeared, turning onto Bessie's street. Then came more and more, an endless stream of gleaming chrome and roaring engines. Bessie stood frozen behind the counter, watching in disbelief as over 200 bikers, all wearing the unmistakable colors of the Hells Angels, descended upon her diner. They expertly maneuvered their bikes, parking them in neat rows along the street, filling every available space. The sheer number of them was overwhelming, a sea of leather and metal that seemed to stretch as far as the eye could see. The entire neighborhood seemed to hold its breath, stunned by the sudden and unexpected arrival of this massive biker convoy. Bessie's heart pounded in her chest, unsure of what was about to happen. Bessie's mind raced, fear mixed with confusion. What did this mean? Were they here to cause trouble? Were they connected to the troublemakers from yesterday? Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the edge of the counter, her heart pounding in her chest. She tried to recall everything she knew about the Hells Angels, mostly from movies and news stories. The images that came to mind weren't reassuring. She knew they had a reputation for being tough and unpredictable. The sheer number of them made the situation even more intimidating. Despite her usual no-nonsense demeanor, Bessie felt a surge of vulnerability. She was just one woman, alone in her diner, facing what felt like an army of bikers. She braced herself, unsure of what was about to unfold. Just when Bessie thought she couldn't handle the suspense any longer, a figure detached himself from the group and started walking towards the diner. It was Big Joe. He approached the door, his face etched with sincerity. He pushed the door open gently and stepped inside, removing his helmet. He walked straight to the counter, stopping a few feet away from Bessie. "Bessie," he said, his voice calm and reassuring, "we're here to thank you." He explained that he had told his brothers about what happened yesterday, about how she had stood up for him when those punks were giving him trouble. "They wanted to show their support, to let you know that we appreciate what you did," Big Joe continued. "We're here to have breakfast and to let you know that we have your back." A wave of calm washed over Bessie as she listened to Big Joe. The fear began to recede, replaced by a sense of wonder. She watched as the bikers, one by one, began to file into the diner. They were polite and respectful, holding doors open for each other and waiting patiently to be seated. They filled every booth and stool, their leather jackets and tattoos a stark contrast to the diner's simple decor. But despite their intimidating appearance, they were nothing but courteous. They ordered coffee, eggs, bacon, and pancakes, their voices surprisingly gentle. They addressed Bessie as Ma'am and Miss Bessie, treating her and her diner with the utmost respect. It was a sight she never thought she'd see, a testament to the power of kindness and the unexpected ways gratitude can manifest. The atmosphere inside the diner shifted dramatically. Initially, there was a palpable tension, a sense of unease that hung heavy in the air. The other customers, those who hadn't fled at the sight of the bikers, watched with wide eyes, unsure of what to expect. But as the Hells Angels settled in, their respectful behavior began to ease the tension. The clatter of silverware and the murmur of conversations filled the space, replacing the earlier silence. Laughter even started to bubble up from some of the tables. Bessie, moving efficiently between the tables, felt a warmth spread through her. The bikers, despite their tough exteriors, were appreciative and friendly. The atmosphere transformed into one of camaraderie and unexpected connection, a shared sense of gratitude and respect that transcended appearances and stereotypes. It became a celebration of kindness and community. Outside, the local community was buzzing. People peeked from behind curtains and gathered on street corners, their faces a mixture of shock and curiosity. The sight of so many Hells Angels bikes parked neatly along their street was something they'd never imagined. Word spread quickly. Some were fearful, remembering the bikers' rough reputation. Others were intrigued, wondering what had brought them to Bessie's diner. Children pointed and whispered, their eyes wide with wonder. Even the local news crew showed up, drawn by the unusual gathering. The whole neighborhood was captivated, trying to understand what was happening and why so many bikers had chosen Bessie's diner as their destination. The diner had never been the center of so much attention before. Bessie and her small staff were working tirelessly but happily to keep up with the unexpected rush. The Hells Angels ordered everything on the menu and they ate with gusto, leaving generous tips on every table. The cash register was ringing nonstop, a sound Bessie hadn't heard so consistently in years. This sudden surge in business was a godsend. Bessie had been struggling to make ends meet, barely able to pay her bills each month. Now, thanks to the bikers' incredible show of support, she was finally able to breathe a little easier. She could catch up on overdue bills, order fresh supplies, and maybe even invest in some much-needed repairs for the diner. The economic boost was more than just financial, it was a renewed sense of hope for the future. As Bessie interacted with the bikers, she began to see beyond their intimidating exterior. She noticed the way they treated each other with respect, the loyalty that bound them together. They were a brotherhood bound by a code of honor and a deep sense of camaraderie. She realized that despite their reputation, they valued loyalty and respect above all else. They were fiercely protective of their own, and they didn't forget kindness. Bessie had shown them kindness, and they were repaying her in their own way. It was a powerful lesson, a reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that judging people based on stereotypes can lead to missing out on unexpected connections. They valued loyalty and respect, and she earned theirs. The Hells Angels didn't just visit Bessie's diner that one day. They became regular customers. Not always 200 at a time, but there was almost always a small group of them enjoying Bessie's cooking and her warm hospitality. They spread the word about Bessie's diner to other chapters, and soon, bikers from all over the state were making pilgrimages to the small, unassuming eatery. They were always respectful, always generous, and always appreciative. They helped Bessie in other ways too, fixing things around the diner, offering protection from troublemakers, and becoming a constant source of support. Their ongoing presence transformed Bessie's diner from a struggling business into a thriving community hub, a testament to the power of unexpected friendships and the enduring value of loyalty. The story of Bessie and the Hells Angels challenged prejudices on both sides. The community, initially wary of the bikers, began to see them as more than just leather-clad rebels. They were men with hearts, capable of kindness and gratitude. Bessie, too, had her own preconceived notions about the Hells Angels. She had judged them based on their appearance and reputation, but she soon discovered that they were individuals with their own stories and values. The story revealed the humanity in unexpected places, demonstrating that kindness and respect can bridge divides and create connections between people from vastly different backgrounds. It was a reminder that everyone deserves a chance to be seen for who they truly are, not just for what they appear to be. Bessie became a local hero. Her story was featured in newspapers and on television, and people from all over came to visit Bessie's diner, eager to taste her famous apple pie and meet the woman who had stood up to prejudice and forged an unlikely friendship with the Hells Angels. She was no longer just known for her good food. She was admired for her courage, her open-mindedness, and her unwavering belief in treating everyone with respect. People saw her as a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in a divided world, kindness and understanding can prevail. Bessie's transformation was complete. She had always been the heart of her community, but now she was its inspiration, a beacon of light shining brightly in a world that often felt dark. Bessie didn't let her newfound fame go to her head. Instead, she used her platform to promote kindness and understanding in her community. She organized events at the diner, bringing together people from all walks of life. She started a mentorship program for young people, teaching them the importance of respect, empathy, and standing up for what's right. She spoke at schools and community centers, sharing her story and encouraging others to challenge their own prejudices and embrace diversity. She even worked with local charities to provide food and shelter for the homeless. Bessie was determined to use her influence to make a positive impact on the world, spreading a message of love and acceptance that resonated far beyond the walls of her little diner. She wanted to show everyone that kindness, like a smile, could change the world. Through it all, Bessie and Big Joe developed a unique and lasting friendship. They were an unlikely pair, a black woman from a struggling neighborhood and a Hell's Angel biker, but they found common ground in their shared values of loyalty, respect, and kindness. They often sat together in the diner, sharing stories and laughter. Big Joe became a trusted confidant, a shoulder for Bessie to lean on when things got tough. Bessie, in turn, offered Joe a sense of belonging and acceptance that he had rarely experienced outside of his biker brotherhood. Their friendship was a testament to the power of connection, a reminder that true friendship can blossom in the most unexpected places, transcending differences and defying expectations. They supported each other through thick and thin. Bessie's diner wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. The once struggling business had become a symbol of hope and unity in the neighborhood. The peeling paint had been replaced with a fresh coat of bright colors, and the mismatched chairs had been swapped out for comfortable booths. The aroma of Bessie's famous apple pie filled the air, mingling with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon. Laughter and conversation echoed through the diner, a testament to the sense of community that Bessie had fostered. It was a place where everyone felt welcome regardless of their background or appearance. Bessie's diner had become a beacon of light, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and unity can prevail, one plate of apple pie at a time. The diner was more than just a restaurant, it was a family. The story of Bessie and the Hell's Angels became a local legend passed down through generations. Children grew up hearing about the brave black woman who had stood up for what was right, even when it meant facing down prejudice and fear. They learned about the biker gang who had shown their gratitude in an unforgettable way, transforming a struggling diner into a symbol of hope. The legend served as a constant reminder that standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult, can have a profound impact on the world. It taught them that kindness and respect can bridge divides and create unexpected connections. The story of Bessie's Diner and the Hell's Angels became a powerful lesson in courage, loyalty, and the enduring power of the human spirit. It was a story they would never forget. The story of Bessie and the Hell's Angels is a powerful reminder that unexpected friendships can blossom in the most unlikely of circumstances. It challenges us to look beyond stereotypes and to see the humanity in everyone, regardless of their background or appearance. It demonstrates the importance of kindness and courage, showing how a single act of compassion can have a ripple effect, transforming not only individual lives but entire communities. It teaches us that standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult, can create lasting change and inspire others to do the same. Ultimately, it's a story about the enduring power of the human spirit, a testament to the fact that love and understanding can triumph over prejudice and fear, creating a world where everyone feels welcome and valued. It is a story for all time.